Welcome back. It's time for a few escapades here. We've got 8 to go through. So let's start here with episode 1 in the Defendants' Antechamber. In the first of 8 escapades, Ryunosuke finds 2 troublemaking witnesses from his earlier trial having a battle of words in the Defendants' Antechamber, leading to a real tongue lashing. Oh dear. You're about to play the escapade entitled Episode 1 in the Defendants' Antechamber. This escapade includes spoilers about the first game's story. Continue. Yes. Right, so we know when this is then. I mean, Kazuma's there, so... 22nd of November, 3:08 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature. Defendants, Antechamber. 5. Oh my, hello. I'd forgotten about you. Just look at my precious treasure now. Myself, I have scrubbed and scrubbed. But the repellent odor of meat will never be repelled from its resplendent surface again. But you have it back in your possession, at least. You should be grateful, old man. How dare you? Excuse me, but I'd just like to get at that Zabuton cushion there, if I could. Ah? Rest assured, you miserable military malefactor. This is not over. Incarceration awaits those who would defraud a senior citizen for his priceless treasure. Watch your tongue, old man. Mark my words, I won't. Sorry, Sergeant, but could I just get at the Zabuton cushion there as well? Oh. I won't go to jail. Never. Imagine if I did. The very next day, my boy would starve without the chain of command in place to provide for him. Using the child to protect yourself? Myself, I call that abstinent cowardice, apparently. Oh, really? And who just employed the old poor defenseless senior citizen tactic, The only way to fight an enemy who's using underhanded tactics is with a tit-for-tat strategy. Sorry to interrupt again, but I just need to get at that Western-style cushion there on the sofa. Enough of this insubordination. What do you want, man? Oh, please, don't mind me. Aha! My eyes deceive me. Or is this the wide-eyed criminal from the trial before? Wide-eyed, perhaps, but criminal, no. What is this unhealthy fascination you exhibit with the seating arrangements of others, Why were you peering under the cushion of this upholstered seat? Oh, well, the thing is... Any luck? Did you find it? Here we go. Ah. No, sadly not. Don't think it's here, Kazuma. You really are a liability, Ryunosuke. Report! At once! Have you lost something, is that it? Yes, we were just on our way to a party to celebrate my friend's victory here when... I realized that my university pin badge was missing. A university pin badge, you say? Yes, on my collar here, you see. Affirmative. Uniforms must be kept in prime condition at all times. Missing badges are unacceptable. But if I looked around, it would probably turn up somewhere. Like the old tale of the cup and coin and the steak. A parable of which I am acutely aware. But I've exhausted my search now, really. The only logical conclusion is that someone must have stolen it. Don't look at me. I don't just find any old metal objects irresistible, you know. Imagine what would happen if little Trooper Ido here swallowed something like that. I'm afraid we'll have to give up, Ryunosuke. Still, if you tell the office your student number, they should be able to issue you a new one. What's the matter? Don't tell me. Yes, I don't remember my student number. I don't believe it. I mean, this is the second time you've lost your badge, isn't it? Third, actually. If you didn't think you could remember it, you should have made a note of it somewhere. That's what I was thinking. Write it down then. I told you that until I was blue in the face the last time this happened. Yes, I do seem to remember someone telling me something along those lines. It was you, was it? You can't even remember who told you that you needed to remember it? Well, student numbers are 6 digits, Kazuma. Who could remember 6 whole digits? Yume isn't exactly a long-established university, you know? All of our numbers are still rather low. In fact, they only use the last 3 digits. Well, that might help, I suppose. That might help? Ryunosuke, it's only 3 digits you needed to remember, just 3. Sorry, my brain is such a disappointment. Yes, well, anyway, young man, myself, I was greatly impressed with you in the courtroom today. Oh, you mean me? A lawyer already before you've even graduated, and such a loyal friend to this one. This one? What's that supposed to mean? Oh no, I still have much to learn. In fact, that was brought home to me in no uncertain terms only last year. My Achilles heel was particularly exposed by my best friend here. Indeed? What? By me? This is the first I've heard about it. Yes, by Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I can't have forgotten, surely. It was last summer, at the speech contest. The speech contest? Oh, that. Contestants had to take to the stage and deliver a public address on any subject they chose. We were competing to give the most compelling and powerful speech. I think the entire time, Clint's Last Will and Testament is right there in that blade, right there. Anyway, and yours was great. It made a huge impression on the audience. Obviously, since I was a budding student of law, I was determined to win. And sure enough, one by one, my opposition fell. And I reached the final at last. I came up against you. Yeah, so you did. Not being rude, but when I first laid eyes on you, I thought to myself, I'm gonna win. This cheeky, wide-eyed no-hoper is out of his depth. He's gonna be a pushover. That's your version of not being rude, is it? Well, I paid for my complacency, because it brought on that humiliating defeat. Defeat? How were your ranks compromised? My speech was going very well. I had the audience in the palm of my hand. They hung on my every word. And then, when I came to the very last line... Yes? What happened at the very last line? It was supposed to be a climactic end. Unfortunately, I completely fouled it up. Never! You mean you stumbled on your words? Spectacularly. Even now, I can't believe I ruined it. Well, what on earth did you say, man? Ryunosuke, you better say it, or I still can't get my tongue around it. Sure, of course. I can still recall it perfectly. What you said at the end of your speech, or rather, what you intended to say at the end of your speech, was this. So arise, ladies and gentlemen, and applaud our forefathers' plight and the fight for the filial piety. What did he say, though? A lot of dots? And what went wrong? What indeed? Myself, I see no problem with the pronunciation of these paltry words. Oh, thank you. In that case, old man, I invite you to say it yourself. Very well, then, I shall. Ahem, ahem. So rise, ladies and gentlemen, and applaud our forefathers' plight And the flight of Flalipal. It's impossible. Your eyes, ladies and gentlemen part I delivered perfectly. But the next part had me floundering for a whole 5 minutes. 5 minutes? But oh dear. By the end of it, I was on my knees in front of the podium, a blabbering mess. And that's when the audience started to heckle you. Arise, arise, they were shouting. Hell on earth. But then, of course, this man went and delivered his word-perfect speech with a perfect ending. How did it go again? Let me see. So, my dear fellows, the message is simple. Treat your father and mother with respect. Something like that? I mean, talk about stating the obvious. But the fact is, I lost to that speech. Tongue-tied is the only way to describe it. Well, it is quite tricky to say, I agree. That flight of filial piety, especially. And ever since that day, I've had this question whirling around in my head. Why did our forefathers choose such an awkward phrase? Was it to mock their children? I mean, it should never have been called the filial piety in the first place. And such. At least you're going to Great Britain soon. It might not come up much there. Probably not. Well, anyway, having lost that accursed contest, I came after you to ask you a question. How is it that you never trip upon your words? I inquired. You just gave me a broad smile and said, speaking fast is my hobby. I mean, really, what kind of hobby is that? Do you think you could take your hand off your sword? Besides, it's just a way to pass the time. After that, you started talking at me 10 to the dozen, like you were possessed almost. Honestly, you can't imagine the shock I suffered that day. You really can't. You're right, I really can't. Speaking fast is just the sort of hobby I'd expect a civilian like you to waste his time on. Well, you had to practice, of course, but there are some simple things to start with. Like the famous one, for example. Swift samurai sword swiped silently sideways. Ah, yes, even a decrepit tongue in an ailing frame such as mine can find its way around that one. Oh, no doubt, it's just a bit of fun, really. I can't imagine anybody would struggle to say it. Isn't that right, Kazuma? Uh-oh. Swift samurai sword. Ah! A blabbering mess by word 2. It's not just the samurai. Every good soldier needs to be able to handle a good sword. That's why I've been busy teaching Ido the finer points of swordplay. None of this wordplay nonsense, Private. Come to think of it, not long after that, we started to attend lectures together, didn't we? And we got into that debate about family values at the Sukiyaki place on campus. Do you remember? Yes. Your argument was full of jokes and puns and wordplay as usual. I remember it well. Oh, was it? In any case, I swore that I would never let myself forget the shock you gave me back then. And as a symbol of how seriously I took that oath, I decided to wear this. My red Hachimaki headband. That's why? Sorry, Kazuma. Yes? You've lost me there. I'm afraid I don't see the link. What does your red headband have to do with your oath? Because it will always remind me of that smug look on your face as you uttered those tantalizing words. What words? You mean another tongue twister? I practiced and practiced until my tongue bled. In the end, I mastered it. Mastered what? Well, I think it's time you heard this, actually. Listen carefully now. Here goes. Uh-oh. Red headband, lead headband, dead headband. There. Word perfect, see? This is triumphant music coming in. Well done, Kazuma. I'd actually been meaning to ask you about that. About the story behind your headband, I mean. Well, now you know. So that I'll never forget the shock and humiliation of that day. That's why I wear this red headband every single day without fail. Well, I don't know exactly how much of a shock you think you had back then, but that'll be more than the shock you've just given me now. What do you mean? Well, I'm sorry I'd have to tell you, but the tongue twister I said didn't go that way. You seem to have remembered it. Huh? It's just as famous as Swift Samurai Swords, so can't believe you don't know it, really. It goes red bread pan, lead bread pan, dead bread pan. I said pan. Hey, what? Red pan. Ah. Seems I've knocked some wind out of that headband of yours. It's not too late, Private. You could always start wearing a red bread pan on your head instead. Your youthful vigor is manifest, young man. Your cheeks are glowing redder than your hachimachi-make. Why do so many words have to be so similar? Limitations of the tongue? So, looking forward to Great Britain then, where you'll have to deliver speeches in court in English? I suppose you can always shell seashells on the seashore. No, he said she-shore. Oh dear. I'm assuming, yeah, that was episode 1. So episode 1, we found out where the red headband came from. Oh dear. So that's just done for this part. In the next part, we'll go on to episode 2. In a first-class cabin. So we'll see you then. Ta-da for now.